Welcome to All Things Moore County, Moore County's weekly radio show highlighting the many facets of the Sandhills. That includes real estate, lifestyle, community and neighborhoods. And now from 4 Properties, here's your host, Bill Sahadi.
Good morning. Welcome to the talk show, All Things Moore County. We've got a jam-packed show today. 3 separate stories, 3 different types of events. My first guest is Carrie Kirby from the Kirby Real Estate Group. We're going to be talking with her in the first set about a transaction, not dissimilar from the one we had her and Jacob on back in late 2019 with Sal and Linda Sapola, where they had built a new home for some clients of mine, and it was such a seamless transaction. This time around, it's her home that is being sold, her own personal home that we're working with her on. And it's a little bit different when the shoe's on the other foot, and we're going to talk a little bit about some of her reflections, her happiness, her sadness, her mixed emotions. In the second set, we're going to be speaking with Fallon Brewington, the CEO of the Boys and Girls Club of the Sandhills. She's going to come on and recap the Great Future celebration, the Youth of the Year Awards dinner that was held last week with Keziah and Brianna, and give us a wrap-up on that particular event. And finally, we're going to be speaking with Torin Wright, who is the producer and musical director of the West Pine Middle School production of Frozen Junior. Torin has been in the Sandhills as long as I have, and I think when you hear him speak, you'll see what a great coach and mentor and teacher he is to a lot of students who, it's almost like he coaches the farm system before the kids get to high school, and then they get into the drama and the arts, and they're also well prepared in large part due to his efforts and his role as a role model. Okay. Good morning, Carrie.
Good morning, Bill.
How are you again?
I'm good. How are you?
You didn't think you'd be here so soon again, did you?
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for asking me.
Back in 2019, we had a wonderful transaction with the Kirby Real Estate Group and Premier Real Estate of the Sandhills. You were the listing agent on a home that your husband built.
That's right.
And Sal and Linda, wonderful people who have moved in, love the home. It was such a great transaction.
It was.
In the last 2 months or so, you and I have spoken quite a bit about your home,
That's
which
right.
which you put on the market over at National Pinehurst number 9.
That's right.
You guys make a habit of moving every 2 years.
That's right. We sure do. This will be the 4th home that we've done. Yeah.
You're like professional gypsies.
That's right. Professional movers.
And you do it for tax reasons?
Correct. That's right.
Okay. So you probably are going to eventually build another home.
That's correct.
But I noticed after we put the contract together on your home, which is a gorgeous home.
Thank you.
I started noticing a lot of very sentimental posts.
That's right.
Because your kids, you have Reese is 8 and Riley is 11.
Mm-hmm.
And where your home is positioned in the neighborhood, it's really a very vibrant neighborhood of children.
Yes.
There's a good network of families and neighbors.
Yes.
Makes you sad.
So good. Yes, it does. It has by far been the hardest move that we have had, just because of the unique situation that we have there,
right,
with amazing people all around us, and the kids, and how they are able to just every day after school run and play, and just all the relationships that's been forged is just
right.
It's just so hard. This has been a hard one.
So tell me, how are your kids handling it?
Honestly, they're handling it really well.
Better than mom.
Better than me. I thought it would be harder for them, but they have really surprised me in how they have adjusted and already adapt to moving out, and their day to day is so different now. So but it's me who's having the hard time.
With all the homes that you and Jacob, Matt, and you sell, and all the transactions that you are part of, how is this one different because it's your own personal home? Does it alter your perspective? It gets more personal?
I think to a certain degree it does.
Yeah.
This is we had 3 that we've lived in and sold like this before, and I really think it comes down to just leaving all of that behind for me in this one. And but I feel like I get very connected to the people that we sell to also. So
right.
I don't know. It's always I love it.
So there's the thing that I like about you, and I like about working with you guys, is there's always a good feeling, and you're always trying to do the right thing.
Thank you.
But almost like now, it's your own personal home. The standard is almost higher because you're not only the broker,
that's right,
you're the builder, and it's your own personal home. And even though you have to be almost like over accountable,
right,
it doesn't denigrate the accountability on sales where you don't own the home. But don't you feel like you're held to a higher standard, which you meet, by the way?
Well, thank you. Yes, I do. I feel like it's, I feel like everything that we do is a representation of us. But when it's something personal and you're coming, we have agents who are friends like you who come in and,
right.
I do hold myself to a very high standard, and even more so when it is our personal home that we live in.
In 20 years in the business, I was relaying this before we went on the air. I have the buyers of your home they're a wonderful couple.
They are amazing.
Smart, kind, just after my heart, type A people. And I knew that there would be a chemistry, a positive chemistry between Greg and Angie and you and Jacob.
Yeah.
And going against my rule, we got together and we set up a meeting where you all could meet together and walk through the house, especially because Jacob was a builder.
Right.
And Greg has a great mentality, and he looks at a home like his own home inspector.
Right.
So I knew they would hit it off, and the same is true with you and Angie. And
yeah, they were wonderful.
It became personal.
Absolutely. Especially when you meet them and talk with them, it does become very personal. And we really, that's not always the case.
Right.
It's not always the case.
Sometimes it's just business.
That's right. But in situations like this, but I think a lot too, you make it personal also. Like you do a very good job of that. Even with Sal and Linda.
Yes.
It's just, that's how you do business too.
Well, right.
Yeah.
And
which I love.
Yeah. It's a privilege to be able to be in the business and to shepherd certain things along.
And every transaction is different. Every buyer is different.
So you also are trying to reassure me, and I'm communicating with Greg and Angie. You've said things like, "Oh, they're going to love the neighborhood. They're going to love the neighbors."
They are.
And you're almost going to be like the hostess who will coordinate them and put them together.
I will.
Right?
I will. I mean, they are going to absolutely love it there.
Yeah, and they have a grandson.
Love it.
They have a grandson that is, I think, 6-7 months old.
Yeah.
I mean, as he grows up, and their daughter and son-in-law are moving into a nearby neighborhood, so their family is going to be here and grow up there, and what that looks like with the kids.
I do, and it's going to be. They're going to absolutely love it, and they're going to see what a wonderful neighborhood it is, and just the people that are surrounded. That they're surrounded by. Yeah,
tell me about the design of the home, because it was set up. It was more casual than formal.
Right.
A little bit of farmhouse, a little bit of a couple of things, but an easy flow for kids.
Yes.
Large fields of vision from room to room.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. So we built it, and when we build something for us personally, we also we keep in mind that we will sell in 2 years. So with this one, we felt like, it was going to be a family home.
Right.
And just, with the way the home was and like lot specific, that really helped us decide what we were going to build on that lot. But it's big. We love big rooms, like all of that. And so it's just very kid friendly too. So
the layout is, it's not just an indoor living environment. You've created an outdoor living environment that's really special.
Yeah, we love that. We did the big fireplace outside, which,
connected to the home on a large patio.
Yes. Yeah. And we, it's such a good entertaining house too, which I know Angie and Greg will find that also.
Mm-hmm.
We actually had my mom's wedding there.
That's what you were saying.
Yeah.
And that house can hold a lot of people.
It sure can. More than you think.
The thing that I was so impressed with was when Greg and Angie came and you all met and you walked through the house together. This was the day of the home inspection.
Right.
Greg and Angie were so impressed. Jacob had already put his own small punch list together of
That's
things
right.
before anything would come up on the home inspection report, and tried to explain, I'm taking care of this, I'm doing this. And
that's right. Well, and we knew it was going to be things that would, small things that were going to come up that we knew that we needed to do. And you and I have talked about this, especially in situations like this, being proactive
right.
is very important.
Right.
And we want them to be happy. We want them to love the home like we did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing you said over and over again is it's going to be like a brand new house when we turn it over to them later in the week. And
it will be.
I've spoken to and I've seen Sal and Linda, and they've had nothing but great things to say because of the follow through and the personal connections that you make in this business. I mean, at some point you have to say, I can't allow any more friends, and I have too many.
Right.
You have to what
I
am
know
gonna do?
it's very hard. It's very hard to juggle that. Yeah, it is. Especially when you have so many wonderful people who you forge those relationships with.
And I got a chance the other day when I stopped by to meet some of the neighborhood children who were over at the house.
Yes.
And it's almost like your house, the kids just run in one side of the house and out the other, and it's almost like a way station.
Absolutely.
Center of the universe.
And I love it. I mean, every day there would be, because my Matt, who's our partner,
right.
He moved in next door, which is another reason why it was hard to leave because all of our kids are around the same age. And so at times there were 8 kids running in and out of my house.
Right.
And I loved that.
Right.
And it's so special.
Right.
It's very special.
Right.
And I feel like it's not something you're going to have anywhere,
So you're preparing for a transition, and we had the comment, especially about your daughter Riley. All this movement in the long term is going to be good for her because it is going to help her to accommodate to change.
That's right, because everything's changing, and we tell them that nothing stays the same.
Right.
And they really have shown me on this move. They've blown me away, to be honest. I thought there would be some tears and no, just on my end.
Just on your end.
Just on my end. Especially with Reese, because Reese, he was really close to the people who were beside us and that family. And so yeah, I mean, he has, he's really surprised me.
Well, it's
in a good way.
We buy and sell homes ourselves.
That's right.
Right. And it's not just that we do this on behalf of other people, and it does get us in touch with the emotion and the change, and it helps us. I think it helps us sense our clients' anxiety or
That's
joy,
right.
whatever.
Absolutely. There's a lot of emotions because that goes with it.
Right.
Yeah, buying or selling.
So the next 2-3 years, you guys you're building in a lot of different neighborhoods.
That's right.
You're doing a lot of custom homes and
We are.
what I like to call custom spec homes.
Yeah.
Or spec homes
That's
with
right.
custom touches.
Yeah.
And they're refreshing designs.
Thank you.
And we love your website. I think your reputation in the market amongst other brokers is really high.
Thank you.
So people look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
And we always want the public to know that when we have partnerships with people like you,
Yes.
that it's something we look forward to because we know we're going to have a good conversation.
Absolutely.
Right.
I think that is one of the most important things, is to build those relationships with, other brokers and agents, and,
Right.
Doing the best for our clients. And that really starts with, a good working relationship with other, realtors.
Well, my goal for this year is to find more clients who want to buy some of your homes, because
I would love that.
I always know that it's going to be a very proactive conversation.
Same goes for you.
Right?
Absolutely.
We wish you luck in the transition. I have a feeling we'll see you down the road again. There'll be lots of other reasons to come in, but
Thank you so much, Bill.
yeah, you have set a really high standard, and I think Greg and Angie are going to be highly appreciative.
That means more to me than you know.
I know it does.
It means a lot.
Carrie Kirby, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
We're going to come back in the second set. We're going to recap the Boys and Girls Club Youth of the Year Award. They just had their Great Future celebration, and Fallon is going to come in and give us that recap. And then we're going to also be speaking with Torin Wright, all about the West Pine Middle School's production of Frozen Jr. We'll be right back. We're back, and last week we had the privilege of speaking with the CEO of the Sandhills Boys and Girls Club, Fallon Brewington. They recently had their Gifting Great Future celebration. The Youth of the Year Awards were presented, and we had the privilege of speaking with Brianna and Keziah, who were the two finalists. Fallon had asked to come back, and I wanted her to. I saw some pictures on Facebook. You had a real good turnout at the dinner.
We did.
We had two very impressive young ladies, and if it were up to me, I would have just called a tie. I would have just said shake hands, and it's even. They were both very impressive. But you want to give us a quick recap of what transpired?
Yes. So like you said, we did have a really good turnout. We were very surprised because of the snow. We were expected to have originally over 200 guests. I don't think we hit the 200 mark, but it was very close. We had very few empty seats last night, and we were very impressed with that. And thank you to everyone that came out. But last night, Brianna was awarded the 2020 Youth of the Year.
Okay, congratulations.
And Keziah was awarded as the 2020 Ambassador.
I loved talking to both of them, and I loved how they seemed to support each other. And how did that go last night after the fact?
I think it went well. Keziah, they both support each other, and Keziah even specifically mentioned during her thank you speech that there was no losers last night. They were both winners.
And she's 14 years old.
She's 14 years old and a freshman.
So how do you acquire that kind of grace at 14?
I think it's grit. I think it's resilience.
That's why she was one of the two nominees.
Absolutely.
So this is a yearly celebration, and so now Brianna goes on to the regionals.
She goes to the state level. Mm-hmm.
And what's in front of her in the next couple of weeks because of this?
So she'll probably be practicing, getting ready. She will go. The competition for state will be in Sanford.
Okay.
It's the first weekend in April.
Okay.
So she'll go for 2 days, and it'll kind of be the same process. She'll go before panelists and judges and things, and she'll have to do her speech in front of everyone. It's a full 2 days.
Okay.
And then we'll see how she does. If she wins at that level, she'll get a $2,500 college scholarship, and then she'll get to go and compete regionally for a chance at $5,000.
So was it Mom who was watching her last night, or was it Fallon Brewington, the CEO of the Boys and Girls Club?
It was Fallon Brewington of the the CEO of the Boys and Girls Club. Definitely, because, it was hard to kind of remain neutral.
Right.
I supported both girls, and like you said, they were both great. So, I kind of had to hold.
Yeah, so I have to say you're correct. You did support both girls equally. And when I was speaking with them last week on the show, which aired already last week, you were watching both of them, and I did not pick up any favoritism. I didn't pick up anything other than you were admiring both of them because they were both putting themselves out there. And it takes courage.
Right.
How did their public speaking go?
it went very well. They both did an excellent job. I think everyone was blown away last night by both of them.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard and I've been reached out to by a lot of people that even their speeches have sparked a lot of conversations with people.
Right.
Very thought-provoking speeches last night.
So both young ladies can also be spokespeople for the Boys and Girls Club, especially for people who, believe it. I know we just had snow last week and it was cold, but summer's not too far away. And you have a very impressive summer program.
Mm-hmm.
You have a year-round program, but you also have a summer program.
Correct.
And if parents get wind of it and they look into it, what are they looking at if they were interested in enrolling their kids in the summer program?
So summer camp, of course, has been shortened this year due to the new year-round schedule at Moore County Schools. So our camp typically was 8 weeks. It's going down to 6. But either way, 6 weeks of summer camp for $140 for the entire summer, which
Right.
includes 3 meals a day.
Right.
You're not going to find that anywhere else.
That's 6 weeks that kids can't get in trouble with idle time.
Absolutely.
When I was 13 years old, I took my parents' car out for a drive and I crashed it. And my father said, he didn't get mad at me. He just said, I'm meeting with the contractor tomorrow to get an estimate on the repair. I'd like you to be there. I said, sure. The guy wrote up the estimate and he gave it to me. And he said, this is for my son, not for me. And he made me pay him back every nickel. How did I do it? He took me to a golf course and he said, you're going to caddy and you're going to work. And I loved it so much, I would start cutting school to go caddy. And my mother said, you got to let him study. And he said, just leave him alone, because if he's busy and he's out in the fresh air, he's not going to get in trouble.
And that's right.
And I think my dad's goal was that none of his kids would be incarcerated and then put out on parole. But you really have to watch the kids at that age.
That's true. That's true.
So the Boys and Girls Club does fill that void in a lot of ways.
It does.
And so I was very impressed with both young ladies. What I was most impressed with was how they started, where they were a little shy and retiring. And then by the end of the show, they were almost glib. And then your daughter, Brianna, said, we'd like to do a show. We'll host a show. And I gave her my word.
You did.
So she and Keziah have to get together and put a program together, and we'll let them do it.
Yep. They've already been talking about it. They're excited.
They are?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
So that they came full circle.
Mm-hmm.
Well, good job on your part. Good job on the Boys and Girls Club part. And congratulations to both Brianna and to Keziah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it was good to see you.
You too.
And I'll wait to hear. I'll get my marching orders from the two girls.
We'll do.
Thanks. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
All right.
A couple of weeks ago, there's been so much going on. We pride ourselves on having shows with so many of the student organizations in Moore County. And we just spoke with Adam Faw a few weeks ago with the upcoming production of Matilda, which is March the 20th through the 22nd at the R.E. Lee Auditorium. The 7 students that were here, were very impressive. They were very animated. They were very excited and very articulate. So if you ever watch a Major League Baseball game, every team has a farm system. And when the younger players are coming up, before they get to the high school level, they have to get coaching and mentoring and training. And where it all seems to start is in the middle school, which this year, the West Pine Middle School, with Torin Wright, who is the producer and musical director of the Disney production Frozen Jr., is going to be shown on March the 6th through the 7th. And Torin came in, and we're glad. Many times we've tried to get together, and it's been hard with your schedule. But you're working with 6th, 7th, and 8th graders for the production of Frozen Jr.?
That's correct.
But you're doing a whole lot more with these kids besides just the Frozen Junior production. You're getting them ready for the next level at the same time.
It's a very comprehensive program over at West Pine Middle. The choral program and the musical theater program are the programs that I oversee, and the students that are in my program are excelling at both levels. Earlier in the school year, the choral students had the opportunity to audition for the North Carolina Middle School Honors Course, and we had 10 students selected to that prestigious choir. There were 71 schools that were represented, and of the 71 schools, they had about 153 students. So for us to have 10,
it's a lot.
that is a lot. There was one magnet school that also had 10 at the middle school level, but the magnet school and West Pine Middle were the highest number of students in any of the elementary, middle school, or high school honors courses this year. And our students have had the privilege of being the second highest 2 years ago and fifth highest last year. And furthermore, there were only 5 sixth graders that were in that choir, and last year only 4 sixth graders that were in that choir.
Right.
And we have had both representation last year and this year with our sixth graders. I will say that we're very proud to feed Pinecrest. It actually starts.
You're the farm system.
We are, and it actually starts lower than us. Pinehurst Elementary has a very good choral and musical theater program as well.
Right.
And they've had students that have also been in honors course. Eliza Haig, who plays Elsa, was the only student in the state this year to be representing a singer in honors course that dates back to elementary, that has had 5 consecutive years. That means 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. Only student in North Carolina here in Moore County.
Wow.
Started at Pinehurst Elementary and has continued to flourish with us at West Pine.
Wow. Tell me what it's like with these middle schoolers, the training, the process, the production, and the joys that you get from the whole exercise.
Absolutely. There's never a dull moment.
I bet.
Right.
I bet.
I've been blessed to teach 9 years at the high school level, 7 years at the elementary level. This is my 8th year at the middle school level.
Wow.
And I love it all. One of the real blessings of working with the middle school students is they have a passion for what they're doing.
Right.
And they've got the talent. And so when you have passion and talent, there is just a burning desire for excellence.
Right.
And then with my colleague, Susan B. Herrick, who's the artistic director, she and I have worked together since 1999.
Is that right?
Yes, dating all the way back to when we were at Brownson together. But we were doing some cabarets that she produced back in 1999 over at the National Golf Course. Nonetheless, with our collaboration over the years, we've really had an ability to create a network in Moore County and pull in some real help to take the students to the next level. So we're thrilled with what we're doing over there.
You have how many years under your belt in the school system?
I started in 1995. I took 1 year off after 2004. This is my 24th year of teaching.
That's crazy.
It seems like I just started, but here we are.
When I first met you, it was in the very early 2000s.
I remember.
Like 02,
what was her name?
03.
Jane.
Oh, Jane Oliver.
Jane Oliver.
My goodness.
It was a Jane Oliver event that you brought in for
That's right.
the September for the 9/11
For
memorial.
9/11.
It was
in December of 2001.
Correct.
That was when we first met.
Yes. I remember that event very well. That was an exciting event.
That's how I met Hamp Thomas.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hamp. I met Hamp. He was a realtor and also had grown up in the music business a little bit. And we met, and he helped and assisted with us doing that.
Right.
Oh, my gosh.
Right. And I went to church with
right.
Jim and Sally. Yeah.
That's right.
Absolutely.
And you remember what all transpired and how dysfunctional that was. And
I do.
How the kids, over her nails.
Over a fingernail. I do remember.
I think, and unfortunately,
I've used that as a life story and a lesson for my students to understand that in the end, we are all people. The show must go on.
Right.
We should probably tell your audience what happened because they don't know.
You recall it as well as I do.
Well, it was so. I recall she had a rider that was very long.
Yeah. That's right.
But one of the things that was not in the rider was that she wouldn't go on after intermission if she broke a fingernail. But during intermission, one of her plastic fingernails had come off, and she would not go back on stage until that plastic fingernail was fixed. And so we had to have somebody travel to a pharmacy.
That's right.
And buy a plastic fingernail so we can come back and glue it on so that she would go out and do the second act, which ended up taking about 30 minutes longer to start the second act than we had originally thought it would be.
So now that is like 95% right on target. My recall was that it was at the beginning of the show that she wouldn't go on.
Okay.
Not at the intermission and then coming back, but for the same thing. And if I'm not mistaken, you had sent one of your students to Walmart and it was a very rainy night, to buy whatever she needed to get herself back on the stage. And we were stuck at the beginning of the show talking and not being prepared to entertain the 500 or 600 people that were in the audience. And we were just delayed and nervous and, oh my gosh. But your students did learn something that night. It's just not what you thought they were going to learn.
That's correct. And I think that also, that was
funny.
prior to Adam. I don't believe Mr. Faw was at Pinecrest at that time.
Right.
But I do believe it was the theater students that were more involved than my students, because that's the program that we had at Pinecrest at that time.
Funny. I hadn't thought about that in detail like that.
Memories.
We have had many opportunities to have a lot of very gifted students on over the years, whether they're in the arts, whether they're in the athletic program. The amount of discipline that the arts provide for the students and how they react to it is part of growing up and something they'll take with them way beyond their school years.
Correct. I have seen our students not only feed Pinecrest with the theater arts, but also the speech and debate team.
That's right.
So one of the great blessings of students in the arts is that they grow confidence in public speaking.
Right.
And when our students go to Pinecrest and then they get to go ahead and be mentored in speech and debate, but also theater, our students go on to achieve such great thing. Thus, Bradley Gibson from Pinecrest High School being on Broadway as the lead in Lion King, straight from Pinecrest. It is not uncommon that our students go
excel
and do. And I want to say something about Bradley. One of the neat things about watching him last November was that when he told the story of how he started on Broadway as a company member, and then worked his way up into leading roles. It's very important for our younger students to understand that to make it in the arts, to make it on Broadway, is to also be a real team player and start at the bottom and work your way up.
Right.
We brought in Jeff Crady a couple years ago from, Jeff Crady is a Broadway actor, was the youngest Valjean on Broadway at the time that he played it. Somebody has since gone on to play the role who was younger than him at the time, but at the time he was the youngest Valjean. But Susan and I have worked with him, Susan Herrick and I have worked with him on 2 different occasions over the last few years, and he tells the same story. He tells the story that when he started out in the company, and really you need to be able to play the company in order to be successful as a leading role. And so one of the things when we have a cast of 63 this year, we started with 70, a little attrition, that's normal.
Wow.
But we have 63 students on stage, of which there might be 14 students that have speaking roles.
Yeah.
But the talent that we have is being fostered all the way down to the company levels. And we couldn't have a successful show without our company.
Talk a little bit about the expense of a production of this magnitude, because you have a booster club that is a very integral part of the success of your program.
We do. We strive hard at the beginning of every school year to create a relationship with our business partners in the community.
Right.
We have a committee of about 18 different areas that is required to produce a really solid musical theater experience, from sound engineers to lighting engineers to properties to costumes. We have 220 costumes that we'll be using for 63 students in this production. And so the list of different technical aspects that go on is seamless, is endless. This year, we're actually going to use, to make sure the Disney experience is really captured, we're going to use an animated backdrop that will be able to go ahead and go from scene to scene and display the graphics that go more with the storyline that you might be familiar with if you've seen the movie. So when it snows, you have snow
Right.
that's in the animation background in the background.
Right.
It's quite wonderful.
Let's take a quick break. I want to come back and just chat with you for a few more minutes before we wrap up. This is All Things Moore County. We'll be right back. We're back with Torin Wright, who is the producer and musical director over at West Pine Middle, and we're talking now, we really do want to talk about the production, which is March the 6th and 7th, so it's really going to be next week, and there's a method to your madness. You don't just haphazardly pick a production, do you?
Correct. No, Miss Herrick and I work hard to find productions that are vehicles to really help the middle school student along their journey in social development. A few years ago, we did Fiddler on the Roof, and we were able to talk about the history of the Jewish families in America and coming to America and the
being assimilated into this country.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And then Sound of Music also.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And so you might think that Frozen is just a very lighthearted Disney, and it is. We want to meet the kids there, but it also is it's a story about family. It's a story about love between two sisters, Elsa and Anna, and it's a story that demonstrates in the end the power of love, and relationships is the most important thing. And so we find ourselves even in rehearsals talking about the need to be able to foster good relationships with one another, and how is that going to transcend? And then how are we going to help our younger kids that come to the production leave understanding that in the end it's all about love.
Right. The 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, we've had shows in the past with mentoring, and middle school is that treacherous 3-year period where people either start make their march into high school, they're either on the right path or, oh my gosh, no path, or hopefully not the wrong path.
Right. And as you mentioned with the Boys and Girls Club, one of the things that we really enjoy doing is providing an opportunity for so many students. I mean, we have 70 students that are involved both on stage and backstage. Gives them something to do, gives them a family, a sense of family, and a fellowship with friends to do something creative and have an extended day at school to keep busy.
And a source of self-esteem.
Correct.
Of building up their belief in themselves and their ability to, they're not just small little people, they're people who can make a change.
That's right.
They learn that in 6th and 7th grade just as much as hopefully adults do.
Absolutely. Perfections of adults all the time, and
Yeah.
we're all a work in progress.
Right.
Empathy is the major pushing point for what we try to achieve with our productions. Each one of our productions tries to demonstrate that there is vulnerability in each character, and there is vulnerability in each one of us. And in the end, it's just a matter of being empathetic and being there for each other. And relationships in the end is what it's all about.
And you must have because you have 60 or 70 students participating.
63 on stage and about 7 to 10 backstage.
That's a lot of parents who are supporting all those kids as well.
That is correct. It takes a village, and we have an incredible village.
Right.
Not only a village of our own parents that have students in the program, but the village of business partners that also are there to make sure that these students have this opportunity.
Yeah. So we're about a week away. Practice is at a fevered pitch. Where can people go to get tickets for this production? Give me the hours and the days.
Absolutely, and it's actually very important to be proactive in getting your tickets early. They're at a discount rate currently at WPM. Excuse me, that is incorrect. www.frozenjrwpm.weebly. That's WEEBLY.com. That's frozenjrwpm.weebly.com. You can get discount rates up through March 1st. They go up a little bit more, and then finally at the door they'll be $15. Right now they're $10 general.
Right.
March 1st they'll be $12 for adults and $10 for students, and at the door they'll be $15.
And this is all going to be at the Owens Auditorium?
Owens Auditorium, in the newly renovated Owens Auditorium. Not only do we have state-of-the-art lights, but we'll also have that nice animated backdrop.
And I understand the acoustics are terrific.
Correct. And one of the most important things we do when we produce a musical is ensure that if we're going to produce a musical, the audience is going to hear the actors. And so we always bring in our professional sound engineer, Dave Gotze from Extra Mile Audio out of Fayetteville. And we've been working with him since back in the 90s when I was at Pinecrest. And so we have a professional sound engineer, we have a professional lighting engineer, and then the blessings of Miss Herrick.
My feeling is, because I've seen a lot of your social media posts, and you're not competing with the
Absolutely
productions
not.
at the high school level, but I think perhaps some people would come in and be so pleasantly surprised because it's middle school, how professional it is.
Right, and I'd like to touch base on that quite
Yeah,
frankly.
yeah.
This is we are a community of supporters of arts, both teachers and both parents and both business partners. We are in this together. There is absolute pride when there's another organization that is excelling, and we look for those organizations to excel and love to provide opportunities for them to excel. If there's any mentoring that can be happening on our end to help, that's fantastic. But this is truly a community that is very in support of the arts. And so for that, I am blessed to work with my colleagues both at the middle school, elementary, high school, and with Miss Herrick at the college level.
If you started here in 1995.
Actually, I started teaching in 95 in California. I moved out here to Pinecrest in 96.
So I came in 99. So you and I have a similar vision of all the changes that have happened in Moore County over the similar time frame.
Right.
And here you're still here, and I'm still here, and it's really a great place to live, and the community is very supportive. And as the demographics have changed so much in the last 10 years, I mean, your program has got to be bursting at the seams with interested students, participants who want to try their hand.
We are blessed to have great membership in the choral and the musical theater. We every year set a high and lofty goal, and every year our students and our parents and our business partners seem to miraculously step up and help us achieve our goals.
Yeah. Kudos to you.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, and thanks for taking me way back to 2001 with that story. That's how far back we go. March 6th and 7th, coming up at Owens Auditorium, Frozen Junior.
Fast. Tickets are moving very fast. We're about 50% at capacity with 2 weeks to go.
That's wonderful. What is the capacity at Owens Auditorium?
597.
Jeez.
Right. So we've sold out each musical theater production the last 3 years. The Sound of Music last year sold out during production week, so we actually put an additional show on our final dress, became our opening premiere night. So if we're like last year, we're going to sell out prior to the first curtain going on opening day.
And in closing, I just want to say, if any local business gets a phone call about the West Pine Middle School program, support it. Sponsor it. It's for a lot of the kids and people that you know in the community, and it's a very vibrant program. And as we said, like the farm system, as you get to high school,
and it gives
our
community, it gives our families in our community a sense of pride to have programming that is as strong in the arts as what Moore County schools can provide.
Torin, thanks. Torin Wright, thanks for coming in and joining us. Best of luck with Frozen Junior.
Great to see you again.
Have a great week.